Many people want to give advice or tell you that you are making the wrong choices, but anyone can be a spectator in life, always bringing others down. But are they living fully? If not, then I really don't care what their opinion is about the choices that I make. Hi everyone, my name is Andrea and welcome to The Truth Unmasked. The reward for conforming is that everybody likes you but yourself by Rita Mae Brown. This statement couldn't have been more true for myself, and maybe some of you as well. I had learned to conform, putting my dreams, ideas, and personality aside for the perceived acceptance of other people. I didn't speak up when I wanted to or should have, so that I didn't make others uncomfortable, even though it made me very uncomfortable and full of regret. Being neurodivergent also gave me more reason to assimilate. Although those around me couldn't see it, I knew that socially I was different, that I didn't fit into the normal social groups, that I was struggling a lot more than others to socialize and to be accepted. And this took a huge toll on my self-esteem, of course. Until finally I woke up one day and I didn't have a clue who I was, what I liked, what I didn't like. I was just part of what those in my life expected me to be, part of what society told me I should be, and part of what I tried to copy from movies and shows of what a confident, self-assured woman looked like. Feeling inside anything but confident or self-assured. And from the outside, I think I did a pretty decent job, but inside I was so unhappy, lost, and hollow. I was acting in ways that completely undermined my values and morals, which is a really shitty place to be. I was looking for any kind of guidance or answers, but all I was met with were the whole list of shoulds, that I should go to college. It didn't matter to them that I was barely passing high school and would have never been able to deal with college at the time. That's what successful people do, so that's what I should do. I should be looking for a partner. No one wants to be single, even though the relationships I had around me seemed toxic and not like anything I would willingly put myself into. Again, it didn't matter. Women were meant to be wives and mothers. I needed to find a stable career. Being happy with work, even though it's a majority of what I'll do in my adult life, didn't matter. It's money and stability that matters. Like stability is actually a thing, but during that time, we still acted as if it was. If you are younger watching this video, it may seem strange and outdated to you, but this was in the early 2000s, so a lot has changed since then, and a lot has stayed the same, as we can see as well. This made me even more lost because all of these social norms were things that I didn't really want or see myself doing. But this really messed with my head. As the saying goes, if you have the same problem with everyone, you are the problem. So I took that to heart, that I was the problem and couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. So I started to really rebel and look outside myself for some answers in things like relationships, numbing with substances, any way that I could feel more accepted for being me. But how could I find someone who I didn't even know? And that was me at the time, a complete stranger. If you end up liking this video, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps my channel and goes a long way. So let's get into more of the technical stuff. The definition of social norms is the unwritten rules that shape how people should behave in different social situations, providing structure and predictability. They define acceptable and appropriate actions within a group or a community. Usually, when you follow these norms, you are rewarded by the group with acceptance or approval, but non-adherence can lead to disapproval or exclusion. And this is what I found to be very true. When I started making decisions that went against the norm, it seemed to make people very uncomfortable, and so many people took me stepping away and changing as a personal attack on them. But now I see it just made them take a look at their lives and what they were doing. And the truth is, they didn't want to change, which is fine. But my changing made them question things they were not ready to question. I don't think anyone was purposely trying to sabotage me, but this is a problem with ideas that society puts on us. Many times we don't question them, and we become so attached to the idea that when somebody else does something different or changes, it can be offending. It can be offensive or even feel like a personal attack when it has nothing to do with the person and just about the validity of the idea. Why do we take social norms so personally and seriously? And why is it so hard to distance ourselves from the ones that don't serve us? I think it comes down to human nature and biology in a certain sense. Until somewhat recently, if our ancestors didn't fit in with the group and were kicked out, they would literally die, and they needed the community for their survival. This is ingrained in us to the point that even though it's not a real threat for most people, it still has so much hold over how we respond and act, even if it's not death. The thought of being labeled an outcast, weird, or different is enough for many of us to fall into line. It's the fear of being rejected that keeps us doing the same things over and over without really challenging them, which in my opinion can lead to groupthink and stifles innovation. Or the fear of embarrassment if we go our own way, do something different, and it doesn't work out. We'll have to admit that we were wrong. The group was right. We should have listened and come back with our head low. Although in reality, I feel like this hardly ever happens because it's during the journey where we learn and grow. So even if it doesn't quote unquote work out, I believe following your heart is always worth it. But it is this irrational fear that can keep us stuck. If social norms, as the definition says, provide structure and predictability and define what is acceptable and appropriate in a community, what could possibly be bad about this? And why do I believe life, for the most part, should be lived outside of social norms? Well, in my opinion, a number of reasons. Social norms usually reflect the interest of the powerful groups, not the whole community, since they would have the most control over what gets out, especially currently with social media, which of course would benefit the elites at the expense of the everyday person. Does this sound a little bit familiar? It stifles creativity, art, and other creative fields where you have to be completely unique, come up with your own ideas, and be outside the norm to follow your passion. It also takes away critical thinking, which I believe is one of the most important traits we can cultivate in ourselves. It can keep people stuck in old cultures and traditions that are outdated and no longer serve us. Gender roles, work culture, and thoughts on mental health are a few. It can normalize things that should never be normalized because it's what the majority is doing. Again, this should sound a little bit familiar. And there are many studies that show this happening. So how do we find out if what we believe are our true feelings or what we've been told we should believe. I think everybody is different and every situation is unique, but I would argue first observing and becoming mindful of things that don't add up. For me, it started with college and marriage. I was really struggling in high school. Not that the work was too hard, but I pretty much wasn't interested in doing it. I came from a family of college graduates, and it was expected that I would go to college as well. I didn't see this for myself and decided to do a vocational program. Well, this caused an uproar and a lot of shaming. Even though the truth is, if I would have listened, I wouldn't have finished. I wasn't in the mindset. It would have cost a ton of money that would have been wasted. But my parents were so stuck in their norms that they couldn't see any of that. So I had to fight to do what was best for me without the support of those around me. With marriage, I saw so many women completely stressed out, trying to do a million things, most of them working full time, taking care of the children, having a lot of the responsibility of the house, and on top of that, being treated pretty shitty by their husbands. I was a hairstylist, so I got to hear the completely unedited versions. But then I was being told that marriage should be my aim in life and what would make me feel complete. And all I could think about was how miserable and one-sided it seemed. And almost no one I had in-depth conversations with were happy. So where was this disconnect coming from? It just didn't add up to me. And of course, because they felt one way, but were saying something else, because they were taught that that's what they should say. It was during this time that I also had my first dose of how hard standing up to norms could be. That you could be doing the right thing for yourself, and yet it still seemed so wrong because of the pressure for harmony. I think when you are open to questioning and interested in looking into the why, you see things that you didn't see before. Second, I think it's not taking things personally and understanding that not everybody wants to or is willing to question or think for themselves. So not putting the expectations you have for yourself on others. But it's also important that it also doesn't mean that you shouldn't look into things that are important just because no one else is. As Mark Twain said, whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. To me, this is such a powerful statement and something I found to be true. I personally also look at the life of the person who has given me advice. Would I be happy with their life in general? Do they seem truly happy? Are they authentic and true to themselves? Many people want to give advice or tell you that you are making the wrong choices. But anyone can be a spectator in life, always bringing others down. But are they living fully? If not, then I really don't care what their opinion is about the choices that I make, because I also don't agree with the choices they are making. Third, be true to yourself. This may seem like some new age BS, but I think we are all wired differently and all have unique talents and purposes, which is what makes life fun and interesting. So if you feel deeply that you want to be a writer or own a business or help children, whatever the case may be, then you shouldn't let the fear of others or the fact that it's not safe or normal hold you back from what could be something that brings true value and accomplishment into your life. In the end, you are the only person that can make decisions for yourself, and you are the only person who has to live with the consequences of those same decisions. As the famous quote by Rory Cochrane goes, "I do not regret the things I have done, but those I did not do." I also believe sometimes time away or in a new environment can have a profound impact on questioning and sorting through social norms versus actual personal beliefs. When I did extended travel, it was a huge eye-opening time in my life where I was able to see different cultures, people, customs, governments, and social structures. I know not everybody can or wants to take a long trip, but it could be things like getting involved in a group with people you wouldn't normally hang out with, trying to be around people who think differently than you, having deep conversations without getting worked up, and actually listening to other people's viewpoint. Not that you have to change your mind, but see if there's any validity to what they are saying or anything you can learn. For me, living life outside the expectations of the American culture, distancing myself from the materialism and the pull of capitalism, never having the stable job, but always enjoying what I did, traveling around the world, mostly alone and living abroad, not getting married or having kids, even when the podcast bros are saying how worthless my life is, not basing my worth on what material things I have, but trying to get as many experiences as I can, trying to improve myself because I want to be a better person, has been so freeing for me. And although many times along the way, it has been really lonely and hard, I am glad that I stuck with it. My anxiety, which was really bad for a long time, has gone down drastically. I am more secure in myself and trust my instincts. I am truly happy and excited for life, and each day is an adventure. So I would say it's worked out pretty good for me, and I think it can for anyone who is brave enough to try it. Life is so much more than work and money. There is so much people are missing out on by keeping those things at the forefront of their life and finding their value in their purpose from things that don't honestly make a difference. So I hope you got something out of this video today. I hope it made you think a little bit, and maybe it will give you a little push to try something you haven't done before. I thank you so much for watching me. It means a lot to me.